So what are we going to learn in this module? We will learn what exactly happens when we type in a URL to access a web page, the role of the ISP, that is the Internet Service Provider, what does DNS, that is Domain Name Server, and how does it operate. Some commands like dig, host, and nslookup, which are used in Unix systems to query the domain name servers, and we will explore the journey of a data packet using a very interesting video.
In today's world, most of us use internet, but only a few of them know how it works. Now, through this video, we will try to elaborate how it works. Now, let us talk about some protocols followed by internet. First is HTTP. What is HTTP? HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it is used to transmit and receive web pages as well as some server working and scripting technologies like server-side script, client-side script, etc. Now, second is IP. What is IP? IP stands for Internet Protocol. It is used to transfer all types of files on the internet. It is the backbone of the internet. A computer has to support IP in order to use the internet. Now, third is TCP. What is TCP? TCP stands for Transfer Control Protocol. It extends the features of IP and checks which types of files should be allowed to transfer over the internet. Now, after talking about protocols, let us see what happens when we follow a link on the web browser. Now, when we enter a link on the web browser, a series of steps is followed. First step is passing the URL. Now, basic URL form in passing is as shown on the screen. Its components are protocol, which tells the server how to access and retrieve a document. Server, which tells the browser which server to contact, and request URL is the name used by the web server to identify the document. Now, let us see the flowchart showing URL parsing. Now, as soon as we type a video URL, flowchart shows if video is streaming, it gets directory to connect to and then analyzes the file name. If file is FLV, it will truncate extension, else it will prefix file name with MP4 and plays the video. And if video streaming is not going on, it gives error as error occurred in playing. Now, second step is sending the request to the server. In this, client sends request to the server which hosts the URL. The request format is get request URL HTTP version. Here, version is used to tell the server which HTTP version is used. Now, third step is server response. When client sends the HTTP request to the server, server processes and executes the request. It fetches and processes the result and sends back to the client as HTTP response. Now, an HTTP request has a particular form as shown on the screen. The first line tells the HTTP version used, followed by status code and reason phrase. And the following lines are the header lines which tells the information about the document. In this era of development, we are wholly dependent on use of internet. Hence, the internet grid has covered almost all of the earth as shown in the following pictures. To meet the increasing demand of internet connection, lot of ISPs, that is internet service providers, all around the world are providing high-speed internet connection. Reliance is one of them. Reliance is a globally established communication company. Its global network grid is as shown in the following picture. Reliance network grid in India is as shown in the following picture. Now, after ISPs, let us come to the internet naming hierarchy. Let us say we enter www.iitd.ac.in. Its naming include various domains, which goes in the order from right to left, starting with root level domain. After that, there is top level domain, which in this case is .in. After that comes second level domain, which is .ac. After that, third level domain, which is IIITD, and after that comes www. Which completes the whole name www.iitd.ac.in.
Based on what you just learned, why don't you pause the screen and try to answer this?
After naming hierarchy, let us come to DNS. What is DNS? DNS, Domain name system is the naming hierarchy for computers connected to the internet or private network. DNS server maintains the name to IP address mapping of the domain. Now, how is DNS server registered for domain? DNS server for domain is registered with domain registrar and entry is maintained by the internet root servers or country level root servers depending on the location of the domain.
DNS operation. Whenever server is queried, if it does not have the answer, the root servers are contacted. The root servers refers to the DNS server of the domain in case the domain is top level domain, or the country root server in case the domain is country level domain.
The client sends the request to the local DNS server located at the ISP, which first checks the cache and replies accordingly if it possesses the information required. If not, local DNS checks the root server DNS, which redirects it to the server DNS of the website, which gives back the information which the local DNS gives to the client back.
DNS load balancing. Round-robin DNS is a method of load balancing in DNS which requires no dedicated software or hardware node. In this, a single domain name may resort to multiple IP addresses. Some of the enhanced DNS services. These different enhanced services are: first, different DNS results based on source IP. Second, web browsers could automatically be directed to the closest web server, thus reducing the download time. Companies like Akamai, Google, Yahoo, etc. use these enhanced features of DNS and maintain mirror sites of many organizations on their server and direct requests of these sites to the nearest server.
Okay, so now we are going to look at some very basic terminal commands to test the DNS server. The very first command we are going to try is nslookup. nslookup is a network administration tool. It is used for querying the DNS to obtain domain name, IP address mapping, or any other specific DNS record. It is also used to troubleshoot DNS related problems. It can work on two modes: interactive and non-interactive. Interactive allows the user to query the DNS server about various hosts and domains. Non-interactive allows the user to query the information for a host domain. So now we're going to look at an example of nslookup. We're going to query google.com. Note the keyword here, non-authoritative answer. It also has a complement, the authoritative answer. Any answer that originates from DNS server which has the complete zone file information available for the domain is said to be the authoritative answer. However, in some cases, DNS servers do not have the complete zone file information. Instead, it maintains a cache file which has the results of all queries performed in the past for which it has gotten authoritative response. When a DNS query is given, it searches the cache and returns the information available as a non-authoritative answer. This case. Another command we can use to test the DNS server is DIG. It stands for Domain Information Grouper. Using this, you can query DNS servers for your DNS lookup related tasks. A simple example would be to query iitd.ac.in, which is our college website. When you pass a domain name to the DIG command, it displays a record, the IP address of the site that is queried. It has many sections. Some sections are header, question section, answer section, and stats section. Authority section and additional section are also there. The authority section displays the DNS name server that has the authority to respond to the query. Additional section displays the IP address of the name servers listed in the authority section. Talking about the header displays the DIG command version number, the global options used by the DIG command, and a few additional header informations. The question section displays the question it asked the DNS. The answer section displays the answer it receives from the DNS. terminal command we are going to look at is the host command. Host is a very simple utility used for DNS lookups. It is generally used to convert names to IP addresses and vice versa. For example, if we have a domain name and we need to find the IP address, we can use host command along with the name, such as iitd.ac.in. So the command shows us that the IP address is 103.247.96.231. Similarly, if we have the IP address and we need the domain name, we can use the IP address along with the host command to get the domain name. So using the IP address we've just obtained above, it shows us the expected output, that is, the domain name for the given IP is iitd.ac.in. I would also like to add that the commands we have used, such as nslookup, dig, and host, also allow certain attributes depending on the output that the user wants. These attributes can be type, as in nslookup, f, as in dig, or v, as in host. Another incredibly useful tool to test a DNS server is a website www.dnsstuff.com. All it requires is for you to register. It's pre-registration, of course. So you type in and if you look here, you'll see that there are loads of things you could do simply by entering your IP address or your domain or host name. For example, we here are trying DNS lookup. So we look up our own website, iitd.ac.in. So it takes a few seconds. It's free, of course. It's really useful. So see, it gives you your timeout value and whether the lookup is successful or not. So yeah, the DNS server seems to be working fine.